and welcome to the extra video for the Final Fantasy VII Remake entirety. We're not just the main adventure, but also the Integrate DLC. We're covering not absolutely everything there is to cover, because I've made a point of saying throughout it that I've no real interest in showing off all the digital Colosseum fights, even if there is an optional boss at the end of it. I just wanted to show off the things that I thought were worth talking about and that I personally found interesting. That being 4 things. 2 from the main adventure, 2 from Integrate. So let's start. The final summon and your reward for maxing out 1 of every green materia is Bahamut. Yes, that King of Dragons. So you have got to defeat this Bahamut, but if you can get it, you have the King of Dragons. You know? You can carry this motherfucker with you as a summon for the rest of the game. Yeah, you don't get that often of a use out of it. I mean, hard mode Bahamut Rex, like, it's a very good thing to have with you. It's just an extra damage dealer, and Mega Flare at its ultimate attack is great no matter what Final Fantasy you're playing. But you still, like the rest of them, have to actually win a fight against this thing before you actually stand a chance. If you look at my health and magic, I'm using my main hard mode playthrough to showcase this, because ultimately I lost interest in grinding out all the green materia on the Let's Play save just to show off one fight that was going to take 10 minutes. You know, the idea of grinding for another 4 or 5 hours straight just to get 10 minutes of footage was not appealing to me, and I was like, well, I've still got my main save that I did back when the game first launched. Let me just use that, and that's what I did. So there's a couple things that are going to be slightly different other than my level, because everyone's at the level cap, everyone's at level 50. But it also gives me a chance to correct a few things. I don't know in what universe I thought there was an all materia in this game, because I don't have it on my main save either. I only have 1 magnify as well to boot, so I don't know where the idea of an all materia came from. I just for some reason had it in my head that there was one. But regardless, it is what it is. The main gimmick with the fight against Bahamut is that throughout the fight, it will slowly but surely be counting down from 5 to 0. If it hits 0, it will use Mega Flare, and even with everyone at level 50 and having the health they have, it will one-shot all of us. It does insane damage. And you might sit there and go, oh, so you've got to kill the whole thing before it ends. No, no, no. Firstly, if you can put it into a pressure state whilst it's mid-charging a number, it will reset that number. So it will have to go to, like, now we've just pressured it, it will have to go to 4 again, right? Secondly, if you stagger it at any point, you completely reset the timer back up to 5. So if you can maintain the pressure, keep on top of it, and just present your A game, you can stop Bahamut ever getting close to it. I will showcase what the Mega Flare entails after this, because this was actually my second attempt. My first one, I never got the pressuring and the stagger. The next thing I'll be showing after this is the other data fight that we can do now that is actually tied to Integrate. You have to beat Integrate before you can unlock it, and it's the game's true secret boss. Yes, it's tied to the DLC, but this is Square, so that shouldn't be new. Like Final Fantasy 15, the ultimate super boss was in the DLC. Kingdom Hearts 3, the ultimate super boss was in the DLC. FF7 Remake, the ultimate super boss is in the DLC. Similar to the data fights though, and it's a weird thing with the 7 Remake, despite how much I absolutely adore this game, I have never once had any interest in chasing some of that post-game content. I beat the main game, I beat hard mode, and then I was like, yeah, I've had enough, I'm good. You know, like, I never bothered going to fight the optional super boss that was in the base game, and I, up until this video, had never once tackled the Integrate super boss, which is Weiss. You know that dude with the giant white hair that Nero was talking to in the deep ground part of the Integrate playthrough? Yeah, you can fight him. When he was saying that the scientists were trying to digitize him, you fight Digital Weiss. It's actually a plot point for some annoying reason, and not just some weird extra boss, you know? They could have just left it as, oh, it's an extra fight, whatever, but no, it's actually a plot of element that you get to tackle, but only in the main game. Yuffie doesn't fight Weiss. And it is the hardest thing in the game, at least I feel, but you're not going to see me win the fight. In fact, I don't get anywhere close, because once again, no real interest. I just showcase the fight and showcase some of what to expect. The idea of the fight is that you need to stagger him before a set period of time, not too dissimilar to Bahamut, except that time is stricter and you don't really know when it hits 0. but if you fail to hit it, you will be instant killed equally. Speaking of the instant kill, this is what happens if you don't take out the time limit. Look at everyone's health. Yeah, not like Cloud isn't at full health, but everyone's, you know, relatively full, and Barret especially has very high health. Watch this. 0. Anyway.
What do you make of your new form, Weiss? We've replicated everything about you, from thought patterns to stress responses. You should, however, notice some improvements due to my latest update. Indeed, I'd venture to say you're stronger now than you've ever been.
Stronger than I've ever been. A big claim, little man. Now, who do I kill?
Given that this is merely a training exercise, no one.
We'll see. Be sure to choose my victims wisely. They shall be slashed, strangled, and slaughtered. Beaten, stabbed, and crushed. Garroted and impaled. Shot and executed. Let the hunt begin!
But jumping from a challenge that I know exactly what to do to one I didn't have a goddamn clue what to do, and you're going to see me get wrecked, here is the game's ultimate boss, Weiss. As I said before, the idea is that you've got to do everything in your power to build up that pressure gauge and get a stagger. Because firstly, you're not doing any real damage to Weiss until you do stagger it, which to be fair, reminds me a lot of the optional super boss from 15. You know, the DLC one. It reminds me of Omega, because it's the same sort of idea where you do next to no damage. Omega and Weiss both have an insta-kill attacks that you just have to be wary of, and if you can't figure out the pattern of the fight within a set period of time, you will just get wiped. Omega being a far more generous, because 15 as a whole is far more generous, whilst here, it's actually pretty damn strict. You're not even going to get to see the special though, because Weiss kills us all before that happens. Because Weiss, he literally will just dance from person to person to person. You need to be able to get a good timing to parry his attacks and counter him properly. Just relying on counter-strike and things like that will not save you. The idea is that when he finishes an attack, there is a glimmer of period of time immediately following it where you can build the pressure gauge. If you can hit him cleanly with it, you can actually eventually start building up the pressure more effectively. Because similar to Rufus, when you fought him and you managed to catch him unawares, it will give you a few free hits afterwards to do what you can. As far as I'm aware, there's no insta-stagger approach like there is with Rufus, though. With like, you kind of just have to deal with everything that's thrown at you as it comes at you. But this goes on for a couple minutes of me just trying desperately to see how far I get. If you're struggling with this fight, but desperately want to win it because you're after all the trophies or whatnot, I'm going to lean you in the direction of the DLC. Some of the DLC equipment in this game won't necessarily break the fight in two, but it's things like, there's a piece of equipment that's DLC that will make it so you always have auto life. Meaning when you start a fight, you basically have 2 lives. If you die, it will auto resurrect you. Additionally, there's a material, there's an accessory you can get, and that's DLC, which is basically the, I forget what they call it, the revival charm? The thing that breaks but takes the last hit for you. You can get that, but it's permanent in the sense of it will only work once per fight, but it won't break after use. So every single fight you have a survival extra chance sort of thing. Pair them up together, you've got a few extra chances on your team to make the difference. Additionally, there's the 3 extra summons. The Cactuar being a great damage dealer because it has guaranteed damage on it. Carbuncle being a great healing unit if you just want to be supported and have like Protect and Shell constantly going. And some of the actual bangles can multiply AP acceleration kind of ridiculously. So you can absolutely turn the tide of the fight and give you a far better chance of survival against him if you choose to do so. I don't use any of those DLCs. I just have never bothered, so it is what it is. Like, I've got the full rough of it. If you want to see how to actually tackle the fight and how long it can kind of roughly take you, I would heavily recommend you watching Maximilian Dude's video on it. Because he did a video of him literally doing the same thing I did, where I went in with no DLC items and just went, let's just try and feel it out and work it out. Max did the same, and I think it took him like 2 or 3 hours. But now to showcase the next thing we're going to showcase. This is a bit of hard mode. We have no access to our items, and magic only comes back between chapters. Bosses also get slightly reworked, starting here with the Scorpion Sentinel, and starting, only showing Scorpion Sentinel. He will double up the lasers. Instead of just shooting 1, he will shoot 2. All the usual hard mode rules apply as well, such as extra health, does extra damage, yada yada. It's just you can't access items, and the magic you start a chapter with is the magic you'll be ending it on. Breaking boxes will still occasionally give you Marco shards to restore a little bit of magic, so you do have some leeway, but it won't save you. Don't become overly reliant on it. Additionally, because it's still in New Game Plus, hard mode or not, you carry everything with you, so you can see what would happen if you counter-struck the Scorpion Sentinel. You can see what would happen if you take on Roach with everything and just get to wreck the house with him. You know, like, you get to play around a lot more. Obviously with the stat integration, some extras, some attacks that were already kind of threatening are now borderline instant kill. The Warden in Chapter 5 is a good example of what I mean. When he electrocutes the train tracks, if the train tracks catch you, unless you've got like a HP boost on you, so you've got like extra health than you should, there's a very good chance it'll kill you.
Now's our chance to do some real damage.
And if like your whole party's caught by it, you can literally just get Uno reversed in one hit. It's kind of insane. The last thing of note showing off is the differences made to Fort Condor when you're in hard mode. Every single opponent, minus Polk, will, because Polk's a tutorial, but I include the Polk one as well just as an extra, will have an altered board. So they will be able to do more than they should, like units will summon faster, they might get to double tap spells. Basically, they will have harder boards, and everyone starts at rank 5 instead of rank 1. So it's literally a continuation. It says, no, all of these fights are going to be harder than the rank 4 Grandmaster. They're not, in my opinion. They're not until you actually get to the Grandmaster fight. The biggest kicker, however, is that sudden death is now only there to serve against you. Firstly, sudden death will only ever last a minute. If it goes on longer than a minute, it will force you to lose. Secondly, sudden death will only end if the actual head post is defeated, not the side posts. Sudden death does not care at all for the side posts anymore. Meaning, in actuality, when you start a match, you have to end it in 4 minutes. You have to win in 4 minutes, because the actual 3 minutes of the match don't really matter. It's the last minutes, like I said, will go into sudden death, and it will just give you a minute, destroy the final post. If you don't, it will force you to lose. But that's kind of it. Beyond that, it's just more advanced strategies, because they have slightly altered boards. They're still based on the same template of when you first fought them, they're just harder. Your reasoning for wanting to do them, though, is that you will get combat books or art books, and it's something that needs to be talked about hard mode as a whole. As you defeat every major obstacle or max clear every minigame throughout the main adventure or intergrade, you will get art books or combat arts. These will boost your weapon rank beyond what they possibly could be at the level cap. So if you hit level 15, you've been grinding out whatnot, you will still hit a hard limit on what your weapons points can be and what your weapon level is. The art books artificially boost it beyond its limits. So going through hard mode and doing it to as close to 100% as you can is always worth it, because it will make you stronger. The longer you can survive doing 100% in hard mode, the easier the later end of hard mode becomes, because your weapons will be so kitted out, you will eventually be able to buy every single skill for them. The next fight I decide to show off is the fight against Kyrie, since it's the first one you're likely to go to in hard mode. For the rest beyond it, you'll have to figure it out yourself. I don't want to spoil all the fun, but this is an odd point, because this is the wrap up of Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is the last video I'll be doing on this project. And as I've mentioned before, because I was very unwell at the start of the month, the break between this and the next project will be shorter than usual. I intend for it to be a week, 2 at most, instead of the usual 3 to 4 weeks that it's been in the past. Which I know might still be a little bit like, oh, you had to wait so much longer, I know he's going to be gone for potentially another fortnight. But in the nicest possible way, my life's gotten a lot busier at the start of this year. Even when I was unwell, there's a lot I'm doing because I'm going to be 23 in a few months. I'm doing other stuff, you know? Like, I love YouTube, I'm still going to do it, and as you may have noticed, I am pushing onto my YouTube site a lot more than I have been, because I not only did the live streams, but I did a compilation video, I've done smaller stuff. I've tried to make it so this channel is far more active than it's been in a while, and I want to keep pushing that as much as I can, even doing live streams over the weekend sort of thing, while I've still got the energy to do it. Obviously, I'll try not to just burn myself out, because then no one wins, but I am pushing to do as much as I can to be on the front line of this, and some of that means that at some point something else needs to give, and I've been alluding to it a lot, but although there will still be Let's Play projects, they are not going to be as big a priority to me as they have been in previous years, and that's entirely because there are other things I want to do that I'm also enjoying more. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy doing Let's Plays. Regardless of whether they're live or post, I enjoy being able to sit down and talk about a game that I really enjoy, and I know what I'm talking about, know what I'm doing, yada yada, and just kind of talk to you guys. Maybe even if it's preaching sometimes, just talk to you guys about why I love, what I don't like, what I want to see in the future. Maybe giving you a bit of a guide on how to deal with certain fights in certain games if I know they can be a bit harder, etc, right? But there's so much fun with like doing like the give us compilations where I can kind of look back on the past and be like, oh, okay, this was kind of yada yada, or the live streams. Absolutely, I've made no secret that I love the live streams. In general, there's a lot else that I'd want to just kind of play around with and have the Let's Plays be a little bit more in the background. However, Evil Within 2, the Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster, assuming it comes to console, and Tales of Arise are still on the list of things I want to cover this year. Additionally, I'll probably cover Sonic Origins Collection when that comes out, because I want to revisit 1 and 2 anyway in a lighter, well, light. I want to cover CD because I have a lot of grievances with CD that I want to air, but at the same time a lot of things that I like about CD that I want to highlight, because I feel like people very much pick a side with CD, and I want to kind of break that a little bit. I want to kind of be like, look, yeah, there's some good here and there's some bad there, but telling me it's the best one of the lot is ridiculous, but telling me it's the worst thing ever is equally ridiculous. And I want to kind of clear it up a bit, and then talk about the very first video game I ever remember playing, which is Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, and still one of my favorite Sonic games. I think, in fact, I'd still say I prefer it over Mania, and I love Mania. But that's the general gist. I'm going to be leaning into live streams. As of this video going live, I'll probably be doing another live stream the day it pops, because I record these in advance, obviously, so I will have the free time on the day it drops, which will probably be Danganronpa 2, because I want to cover that trilogy, and I'm really curious to see where it goes. But I'm going to wrap it up here. As a whole, I love the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It has little glimmers of issues. Like, I'm not a big fan of how reliant on Corridor Simulator it is. I feel that Cloud and Tifa's aerial combat needs a radical rework, and I'm hoping through what they did with Yuffie and Intergrade, that is going to happen. And I want to see them take more risks, because they're taking one gargantuan one with the ending anyway, but I want to see them keep on doing that, keep on testing us in new creative ways, you know? Keep on getting the original audience to double guess themselves, to think, oh, well, are they going to do this? Are they going to go that way? Are they going to do this? I just want to be surprised. I do want to see them make more of a synchronism system, but across the party, because what they tried to set it up with Yuffie and Sonon, but one of my biggest complaints with it is I felt like you didn't need to use it that much. I want to feel like that the synchronism has as much worth as fighting without synchronicity, to have like unique team up skills that are great for their own reasons, while at the same time not taking away from the main combat loop. Additionally, I just want the combat as a whole to be expanded. Playing as Yuffie, when I was recording the footage for hard mode or for fighting Bahamut or Weiss or whatnot, it really came apparent to me going back from playing Yuffie for the Integrate DLC, just how inferior the characters in the base game are because of how expanded Yuffie's moveset is. Yuffie is a damn treat to play as because of how much there is to her moveset, and I want to see that become the standard. I want to see Cloud, Tifa, Barret, Aerith, all of them have far more variety going into the next part than what they do in this one. But we won't know anytime soon. Final Fantasy 16 is scheduled to launch next, I assume, and the VII Remake Part 2 will likely be about a year to 18 months after M16 drops. I don't imagine it being like immediately afterwards, because I feel like that'd just be PR suicide. So it'll probably be a good long while yet, probably potentially up to like 2, maybe 3 years yet before we'll see where that truly goes. But I have hope anyway. I have a lot of faith that it will turn the right way around. I will see you guys, presumably in the next live stream, but if you're not interested in the live streams, I'll eventually see you for the Evil Within 2. But until then, thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.